Welcome to the first Forex forecast of 2026. I'm excited to start 2026 off with all of you guys and want to give a huge shout out to everybody. I just hit 50K subs. Absolutely crazy. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. And let's get right into this week's Forex forecast. As far as the DXY goes, you guys know we've been talking about this weekly demand, and more importantly, this is an overall monthly demand zone right here, these black dotted lines. That is why I've been saying, although we have seen dollar weakness, we actually could expect the dollar to go back up, especially since we just came in contact with the monthly demand zone again. So if we do see dollar bullishness, I'm expecting to go all the way up to 103.06 long term. Obviously, there's really no evidence of that taking place just yet. As far as the daily chart goes, just like there's no trend here, in my opinion. As far as just looking at the highs, or the lows and the highs rather, we're at a low point. So I'm not surprised to see the dollar really start to begin to rally here. More importantly, on the 4-hour chart, we actually had a very nice 4-hour downward trend line. That downward trend line was very cleanly removed this past week. And like this isn't a bullish sign. I will say I'm still somewhat bearish the dollar. But if we can get a leg up, a good enough leg down, and a push back up and break from that high, which will give us a trend to the upside, at that point, I will be bullish on the dollar. We have to be very mindful that maybe this was just a potential fake out to the upside, and we could be pushing back down. On the 1-hour chart, very, very clear sign of what's taking place here. We are just going sideways. I mean, it's very obvious here. Lots of sideways price action, as you can see, and until we can really break out of here or break below there, we really have no trend. So as far as what I would be watching the start of next week is this high here and that low here. Because if we break this low, we will have a 1-hour downward trend. If we break this high, that will be a 1-hour upward trend. And if we get a 1-hour upward trend, that could be evidence to suggest we will be getting a 4-hour trend, which will be bullish for the dollar. So in the meantime, we will be watching the high and the low here. If we create that 1-hour downward trend, in my opinion, that's going to be telling me we are going to be continuing to go lower on the dollar. So really nothing to go off of this week, because we don't really have any trends on any of the time frames really, except for maybe a weekly downward trend. But sideways in the 4-hour chart, sideways in the 1-hour chart, it's not super clear, if I'm being quite honest. And you guys know me, I'm always very honest with everybody here. I'm a little bit confused until we can get potentially a 1-hour trend to the upside or a 1-hour trend to the downside to give us clear direction on the DXY. Moving on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar, and just want to give everybody a huge shout out. We did another donation last month to my local hospice, and we donated over $1,000 in 2025 alone, thanks to you guys, because all the ad revenue from these weekly Forex forecasts is donated to my local hospice. So can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate it. Continue to like and subscribe. If you have not subscribed yet, continue to like the videos. It gets the video out there. It gets more ad revenue and more donations. Much, much appreciated. And I do these forecasts free every single Saturday. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. As far as the daily chart goes here of the euro, really just overall sideways. Yes, we have seen a lot of upper momentum here on the Euro US dollar chart. If we do pull back, this is a very fresh demand zone with a liquidity trap before at 114. So I think it's definitely an area we could see a reaction off of if we do in fact pull down to that demand zone. This supply, it was already tested once, twice, 3 times. So if we do see euro strength, I'm expecting this supply to be broken and hopefully leaving us with a daily demand zone down here, which would be a great swing trading opportunity. So that's what I'm personally hoping for. As far as the euro goes, I want to see that supply move, which will create demand. In the meantime, how do we go about and trade the euro? It is a little bit tricky right now. We don't have a 4-hour trend. We had a 4-hour upward trend, and it was broken. But it was broken over the holidays. It was Christmas, New Year's. So I'm really starting to question if this was, just lack of liquidity, the reason that this trend line broke. It's kind of a tough call. What I think I'll be watching on the 1-hour chart is this 1-hour downward trend line. We haven't broken this low yet. If we do, we will have an updated trend line here to here, which will be more steep and more aggressive. But overall, we have a 1-hour downward trend line here. If you look at it as a channel, the position we are at for shorting, not the best. We're at the low end of that channel. I would rather be day trading short with this 1-hour downward trend somewhere above this 50% mark. Somewhere up here, I think makes way more sense to be looking for shorts on the day trading timeframes. So That's what I'd be doing here on the euro. And look, if we break up, let's say we push up to this trend line, we break the trend line. If we are left with the demand zone there, it's going to be a nice long opportunity on the euro US dollar. So in the meantime, we will be watching the 1 hour downward trend line. And I know not the best, this probably is not going to be the best Forex forecast this week, just due to the fact that we're coming off of the holidays and the new year and everything. So just bear that in mind, and hopefully we'll have some better zones forming for next week. All right, moving on to the forecast for gold. Everybody knows gold has been on an absolute tear, really since like last year, more than that. It's been crazy. It wouldn't surprise me to get a deep pullback, and if we do, that would be my short target at 34.47 long term, down to this monthly demand zone. I don't know if you guys can see the dotted lines I have there. That is a monthly demand. So I actually think we could pull back down to there. There's really no evidence of that. Evidence for that would be a daily downward trend, which we don't have. We actually have the complete opposite. Not only do we have a daily trend, a trend line, a daily trend to the upside, we have a daily demand and control as well, and we definitely could see a move to the upside off of it. The only thing that's making me nervous is a potential liquidity trap with this trend line here. Maybe seeing a spike to the downside is possible, but with the daily demand and control, daily trend line and control, we definitely, in my opinion, want to be favoring longs. I don't know if anybody caught this 1 hour demand zone trade. Pretty sure I called this one out from last week's weekly Forex forecast. I personally didn't trade it because I pretty much stopped trading towards the end of the year there. But yeah, beautiful 1 hour demand zone from back here. Beautiful setup. I don't know if anybody got involved with that one. Let me know in the comments down below if you did. As the 1 hour chart looks now, we have a couple 1 hour supply zones above. We have a clear resistance area here. In my opinion, this is not an area of supply, but it's a very clear resistance. So I think there's potential stop losses up here. What do you notice? We have a great 1 hour supply zone above at 44.46. I love this supply zone. I think it is fantastic. We have a very nice basing, amazing move away. It's as good as it's going to get. The only issue with this zone is the fact that we are going against that weekly trend and that daily trend with the daily demand and control. That is the only thing that's going against us in this trade. So if you want to short at this zone, you still can. I would just maybe risk less, and I'd be more aggressive with trade management, meaning I would be moving my stop to break even as soon as I could, or just looking for a 1-to-1 take profit. That's how I would be managing that trade if I were to get in short at that area of supply. If you are bullish on gold, which I personally am, the two things we want to look for is on this 1 hour chart, if we can break this high, that will give us a 1 hour trend to the upside. Then we could start to look for longs on a 5-minute chart. If we push up, break this supply there, any demand there is going to be a nice long opportunity as well. That will be some sort of 1 hour demand zone long trade as the daily demand is in control. And if we do push up even further, we do have a pretty nice 4 hour supply above at 44.97. Not a fan of that wick, but it is a decent move away. It is the origin of that entire move. So if we do pull up to that supply, I think it could be a good shorting trade opportunity as well. But remember, it's counter trend as well, just like the 1 hour chart. So we want to be aggressive with trade management at this supply as well. And if we do push up, if you're bullish, let's say you do not want to trade at that supply, that's reasonable. I also feel that way. If we break the supply, preferably break the high as well, any demand there is going to be a nice trading opportunity here on gold. And on the 4 hour chart down here, I was pointing out the zone for quite a bit as well. Looks like we have maybe some sort of liquidity trap here. Not my favorite. I wouldn't mind seeing another one form below that. But we have a pretty good 4 hour demand zone down below, 42.26. And I'm telling you guys, you could have a wider stop on this as well because there's tons of profit margin to the upside at this demand zone. So that would be another potential swing trading long opportunity on the 4 hour chart. So as far as gold goes, very, very clear price action. Absolutely love it. Clear demand zone in control. The only thing that's making me nervous about longs is the fact that we are so overextended, but you could have said that back here as well. So we have to kind of go with the trend and the demand zone in control here on gold. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the S&P 500. As far as this weekly chart goes, it's been nothing but bullish. We really don't have a demand zone until all the way down at 60.50. And honestly, we're kind of due for a pullback here just based off of, a channel. I think I showed you guys last week. We are very overextended here. If you look at the top end of that channel, we are floating above that channel. So it wouldn't surprise me if we did see some weakness here in the S&P 500. On the daily chart, I usually don't have two trend lines, but we had this one from back here, and I actually just drew this one. I didn't have it, but the more I look at it, in my opinion, it is a trend line, and it could hold price up for now. We definitely could see a push up just because we are overextended, we're at the high, doesn't mean I want to look for shorts. Yes, it has worked out here multiple times looking for shorts. But I mean, going back, looking for shorts at this high, blasted through, right? So I just don't love shorting the S&P. And with this nice trend to the upside, in my opinion, we definitely want to be favoring longs. As far as trading opportunities, we really have two opportunities right now. If you look on the 4-hour chart, we are pulling back to this 4-hour demand at 68.11. It is not a bad zone. The only reason I'm a little bit suspicious of it is because we have a way better 4-hour demand zone down below at 66.48. So as far as this demand zone goes, yeah, you could look for longs off of that demand just due to the fact that we are trending up. It's a decent demand zone. It's the S&P 500. We definitely want to be preferring longs. So you could be looking for longs in this zone. I don't know how I feel about it. I do prefer the zone that's lower. So what we could be doing is looking for day trading confirmation in here on like a 15 or a 5-minute chart. That's what I think I would prefer to be doing since we have the better zone down below. And that's something we will be looking out for in the daily market breakdown videos for the Diamond members on the day trading timeframes for everybody. If you want to trade alongside myself and the members, join the Diamond membership, where you will have access to the 38-page supply and demand zone PDF, which will be your complete trading guide, the daily market breakdown videos, which are forecasts that I release every single night for the members to trade alongside myself, step-by-step video lessons A to Z covering everything you need to know on supply and demand trading, the Sunday strategy Zoom session where members submit homework, and it's an interactive 1-hour call where we go over all of your homework and every trading related question, private access to myself inside of our private Discord group where I answer all of your trading related questions, and finally the Sunday live stream forecast where we break down over 30 markets together. And it's not just me. Here are some of the members and some of their trades they've been taking lately, absolutely killing it. And we also have some amazing reviews from some of the past members sharing their experience within the group. So if you're ready to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership today. Links in the description down below. So we want to wait for this demand zone to be hit. Yeah, you could look for longs there, but again, like I said, confirmation going to be better. The better set and forget trading opportunity is at this 4-hour demand zone down below at 66.48. I think it's a great zone. Removed a trend line, beautiful move away. A little bit of an extra tip here when we see wicks like this usually is pointing to the demand zone, just a little bit of a tip. So that would be our pullback entry along there. And again, like I said, confirmation in that zone would be preferred. All right, looking at the forecast for the USDJPY, really not a whole lot going on this pair, but let's break it down. On the weekly chart, we are at this weekly area of liquidity. I think we could expect to see a push up to target that liquidity. There's really no good zones here, really nothing going on as far as how I view the charts. As far as the daily chart goes here, you guys know we broke below this trend line. I have this line here at the high because if that does get removed, that's going to be a very sustainable daily upward trend. In my opinion, we'll be drawing the trend line from here to here. And that's a very sustainable trend line, in my opinion. I don't like momentum. I like trend lines. It's just way more sustainable, in my opinion. We have a very already tested daily supply up here, so nothing that I'm really concerned about at this supply. So that's what I'll be waiting for this week, or sorry, the next couple weeks, is to see if we can get that high removed on the yen. As far as trading goes now, I mean, look at this 4-hour chart. I don't see a damn thing, if I'm being honest. As far as I view the markets, guys, I really don't have a whole lot going on here. And the more I look at it, sometimes, you just miss stuff. And I clearly have just checked out at the end of the year here. Might have missed this zone here. Somewhat of a decent trend line there, created demand when we removed it. So honestly, it's not a bad 4-hour demand zone pullback at 154.76. I think we could see a move off of it. I know I just called it out now, but the more I look at it, the basing's good, the move away's pretty decent, and remove the trend line. So that, in my opinion, would be our pullback entry long if you expect price to go up on the end. If we break this demand zone, any supply zone there is going to be a nice trading opportunity as well. As far as where price is going to go now, it's really hard to tell because we don't have a trend on the 1 hour either, right? We broke this trend, and now we are essentially waiting for this high, this high to be removed to see if we can create a new trend line here. So that's what we'll be watching this week as well, to see if we can break that high. And in my opinion, that is going to be all signs to the upside. Then we could day trade long that upward trend line. But until then, I just wouldn't be trading the yen right now. I would be waiting for that trend line to continue to give us that structured trend line to trade with. And until then, I just wouldn't be trading it. I'd be waiting for the pullback down on the 4-hour demand zone or that trend line to continue. Alrighty, onto the forecast for the GBPUSD. We came in contact with this daily supply. Nice move off of it. However, it wasn't really an area I was looking for shorts off of because we already got a proven, or we've already gotten a test off of this supply zone. You can actually go back and watch my forecast from back in September. I called out this supply zone before it took place. So just letting you guys know, I always point out things ahead of time in here. No hindsight, like most of these guys. This wasn't really sustainable to me. This is momentum, not really a trend. I would like to see a deeper pullback and a break of this supply because that would be a very nice trend line that would be very sustainable. That would be what I'd prefer to see to get in long on the pound. So as far as trading goes, really nothing to go off of the daily chart. But if you notice here, on the 4-hour chart, beautiful 4-hour trend line and a 1-hour trend line. So I'd pretty much ignore the 1-hour and stick to the 4-hour because it's just much more clear. Beautiful trend line. It is attached from here to here. And these have been reactions off of this trend line. Notice how we haven't really got any candles closing below this trend line, just wicks. So in my opinion, that is a very, very bullish sign. And just as far as a channel goes, if you are bullish on the pound here, what a good time to look for day trading longs. We are sitting well below the 50% mark of that channel. So in my opinion, longs are definitely preferred as long as this trend line is being respected. The fact that we've hit it a couple times makes me a little bit nervous about it. Potential fake out incoming, but we could see a skyrocket push to the upside after that fake out. So it's something we want to monitor. But again, like I said, as long as this trend line's holding, guys, day trading longs are going to be good on a 15-minute time frame or a 5-minute time frame. Let's say we break this trend line here. If we have a good supply zone there, you could be shorting at that supply zone. That's something I'll be pointing out to the members or maybe in next week's forecast, depending on when it happens. So that's what we'll be watching. Pretty much all going to revolve around this 4-hour trend line right now in the pound. Longs, as long as it's holding. And if we break it with a nice supply zone, we definitely want to hop on shorts, especially since a supply zone is in control. All right, on to the forecast for the USDCAD. I am from Canada. Let me know where you guys are from in the comments down below. I always like to see where everybody's from. Some countries I've never even heard of, if I'm being honest. So it's always interesting to see. And if you guys do want help with your trading psychology in 2026, make sure you check out my podcast, the Stoic Trading Psychology Podcast, available anywhere you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Check it out, guys. Trading psychology is extremely important. You could have the best strategy in the world, and if you don't have your psychology down, it's not going to work out for you. So definitely check it out. As far as the weekly chart goes here on the USDCAD, we could be pulling back down this weekly demand. It's very tested already. We've barely pushed into the zone. So it's one of those times where we could actually see another reaction off of it if we push below the previous low. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. And even if we do push up, we have a very good weekly supply now, 1.398, that we could see a move off of up there. So we're kind of floating in the middle of supply and demand on the weekly chart, kind of confusing right now. And on the daily chart, we are very overextended. I mean, technically a trend to the downside, but just pretty much falling off of a cliff here. So in my opinion, we are quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, you guys can't see, quote unquote, due for a pullback, I guess you could say, especially since now we have a 1-hour trend to the upside here. It's definitely a bullish sign. As far as a channel view goes, we could be looking for longs right now, but if you notice, we're sitting right at that 50% mark. So I'd rather be doing the longs on day trading timeframes below there in this area here on a 5-minute time frame. The only issue with this is the fact that it's just so obvious, right? Every time we come to here, it's buy, 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 buy. So is it really going to work for, the 6th time, 7th time here? Kind of makes me nervous. You know what I mean? Just think about it. Everybody's seeing that, right? When the majority of retail traders lose. So definitely kind of making me nervous here, in my opinion. So I'd maybe be doing a more aggressive trade management if you do decide to do that. As far as a 4-hour chart goes here, 4-hour trend line currently being tested. It's being respected. The unfortunate part is since it was over the holidays, we really don't have any good zones here as far as breaking the trend line. So hopefully we can base out here, get an explosive move on Monday or Sunday or whatever, get a nice trade off of a demand zone there. That's what I'd be waiting for on the USDCAD. And I mean, if you're still bearish, as long as this 4-hour trend line's holding, you could definitely look for shorts on a 15-minute time frame. I think it's very reasonable, especially if you continue to break down here. 15-minute shorts are going to be very, very reasonable. And above, we have a couple 4-hour supply zones. I guess these ones are so far away, We'll talk about those if we push up to there eventually. But if you notice, we have potential liquidity right here, right before this supply. So if we can push up, react off of it again, that'd be preferred. Then we could get a pullback into our supply, 1.38. Not my favorite zone though. So confirmation on a 15-minute chart, definitely preferred inside of that zone. And that's what we'll be doing in the daily market breakdown videos. I don't go down to day trading timeframes in these forecasts. That's for the breakdowns, but that's what we'll be waiting for if we hit that 4-hour supply zone. But in the meantime, nice trend line to the downside. In my opinion, shorts all the way until we can break that trend line. And again, if you're bullish, this would be our 1-hour trend line for guides for longs. Remember, a 4-hour downward trend line is definitely more strong than a 1-hour upward trend line. So take that information and do what you want with it. All right, on to the forecast for the Aussie US dollar. I am bullish on the Aussie, and it is not because of this weekly time frame. Yeah, we did peak below here, break a high. Kind of a bullish sign, but the reason I am bullish on the Aussie US dollar is for really two reasons. We have a beautiful daily upward trend line here. I say beautiful, but it's a little aggressive. I prefer it to be less steep. To me, less steep is more sustainable. When it's very steep like this, we are more prone to fake outs, so keep that in mind. So as far as this daily trend line goes, it is holding strong. As you can see, very bullish day. So I am bullish on the Aussie US dollar. As far as trading it goes, we have a nice, just like the pound, we have a nice 4-hour trend line here attached to there. This is a reaction off of our trend line. We draw our trend lines properly here. We don't just draw random lines that don't even break a high. So our trend line is attached from here to here. This is a reaction off of our trend line. So as long as this trend line's holding, guys, 15-minute time frame longs are going to be good, and you could easily target the high, and if not, even more, in my opinion. Let's say you don't want to do that. What we could be waiting for on this 1-hour chart is pretty clear, in my opinion. We unfortunately wicked right below this zone here. I don't call that remove for reasons I won't be getting into, but 1-hour downward trend line here was beautifully respected. But to me, it looks like we are going to be breaking it just based off of how aggressively we pushed above here. And not only that, the fact that we have a daily trend line and a 4-hour trend line as well is telling me that this 1-hour trend line is temporary. It's not like rocket science. We are just using multiple time frame, higher time frame analysis. It's really that simple. If we do break above that supply, we will have a demand zone most likely down here. If not, maybe we will have one here. So it's something we will be watching for. So if we do break above this trend line, we could be looking for longs at any demand zones that are formed by breaking it. Another option, if you really want to get the best confirmation, is if we can remove this high. After removing this trend line, that will be a very nice 1-hour trend line, which will be our guide for day trading long on a 5-minute chart. So I think I'd be a little bit patient here on the 1-hour chart. I wouldn't be looking for shorts right now. I think due to the fact that we have a daily trend line to the upside, 4-hour trend line, I think we're going to break it. So that's what I'd be waiting for on the Aussie, waiting for a break, waiting for clean zones to be formed on the 1-hour chart to get in long. And again, if you don't want to do that, as long as this trend line's holding, guys, on a 4-hour chart, 15-minute time frame longs are going to be good. So it's really longs all the way here on the Aussie US dollar. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the USD Swiss. We are in a very, very large daily demand zone that I really don't put any weight on. It's not only is it a very old zone, I can't even scroll back, right? It's been tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times now. So really nothing, in my opinion. I don't like trading at tested zones, so it's not really anything I'm keeping an eye on, if I'm being honest. But if we do push up to this fresh supply zone, it's definitely an area we could see a short trade off of. So as far as longs go, depending on what time frame you're trading, long-term profit targets up to that daily supply for sure. I'll be very honest, it's not super clear right now on the USD Swiss, guys. You guys know we did catch this 4-hour supply zone trade from back here. This demand zone trade failed, but nice 4-hour supply zone trade off of that zone. We just broke this trend line, so that was definitely a sign to get out of this short trade if anybody was in that short trade. I don't really see anything going on here on the 4-hour chart right now, if I'm being honest. What I'm hoping for maybe is a push up here, push down, create a nice 4-hour trend line for potential longs. If we do push up and we break this 4-hour supply, any 4-hour demand zone there is going to be a very nice potential long opportunity, especially since it's a very proven area of supply. So that's something I will be looking for if we do push up to that 4-hour area of supply. Right now on the 1-hour chart, we technically, in theory, have a 1-hour trend on the downside. I'm going to get rid of it. There's no trend line here. I don't want to draw, a horizontal trend line. It's basically just a line. So to me, this is basically sideways price action. If we can break below this low, that's going to be a bearish sign, and then shorts I think could be reasonable again. But until then, I don't know. It's making me a little bit nervous right now. And let's say we break this high, then we will have a 1 hour trend line, and that will be our guide for day trading longs. So as you can see, this whole breakdown, or this whole forecast rather, not the best. We're kind of just waiting for trends to take place, and I'm not surprised, right? It's due to the holidays. Haven't really seen the best action, so really nothing on the USD Swiss right now, unless we can break this supply zone above, create a 1 hour trend. I'm just going to be holding off right now on the USD Swiss. All right, as far as crude oil goes here on the weekly chart, we had that liquidity here. We targeted it here. I got out of my short position. Beautiful way to end the year on a beautiful winning trade on the oil. I'll show you guys that in a second. I still think we could target this liquidity and pull back down to this weekly demand at 53.85. And then it's an older zone, but it's great. And the fact that we have liquidity before it tells me we definitely could react off of that weekly zone. If oil is going to turn around anywhere, it's going to be at this zone, in my opinion. So we still have potential room to the downside for shorts on crude oil. And on the daily chart, beautiful reaction off of our daily trend line. And channel view shows, I mean, it's pretty obvious based off of the trend line, but sometimes the channel just really shows it for you guys. You can see beautiful area to be looking for shorts right now at the upper end of that channel and that trend line. So in my opinion, it is shorts all the way. We got a beautiful move off of our 4 hour supply zone. You guys can go back and watch the forecasts. I was pointing out the supply zone a couple weeks ago, and it looks like we did break this low. Okay, so we actually have a 4 hour downward trend line. Didn't realize that. So it is a good time to look for shorts in my opinion. However, if we look at this on a channel view, we're at the basically sitting in the 50% mark. So I'd rather be looking for shorts in the day trading timeframes up in here. That's, in my opinion, where we could see a move to the downside. And what kind of lines up with that as well is this 1 hour supply zone. So very aggressive 1 hour trend line here. Wouldn't surprise me if we do break it. Pulling up to this 1 hour supply could be good at 58.36 if you want to look for a short trade. Not the best zone I've ever seen though, if I'm being honest. It's definitely not like this 1 hour supply zone trade from back here that I caught. That was the beautiful, huge risk reward trade that I caught at the end of the year. It was a great way to end the year. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes at the end of the year, you get a massive trade like that and just gives you a great boost for the end of the year. So hopefully you guys had that as well. So again, the 1 hour chart, pretty aggressive trend line. If you are bearish though, we could be shorting this trend line on a 5 minute chart. I think that would be reasonable as long as the trend line's holding. But again, if we break it, we could just be pulling up to that 1 hour supply and getting a better short trade off of that zone. Not my favorite zone either. I don't love this wick here. So confirmation on day trading timeframes could be good in there as well. So for now, lots of potential room to the downside on crude oil. 4 hour trend, 1 hour trend, 1 hour supply zone above, clear profit target on the weekly chart. Daily trend line in control as well. It's shorts all the way here on crude oil, guys. All right, moving on to the forecast for Bitcoin. And make sure you guys give me a follow over on Instagram. Say hello. Send me a DM. Say, what's up, Kev? Thanks for the forecast. Whatever you want to say. I usually respond to every single DM unless it's like some request to, I don't know, scam my audience, which I get all the time. It's hilarious. Anyways, on the weekly time frame here, we are sitting in the middle of weekly supply and weekly demand. Why I think we could maybe be going up right now, and I'm still a little bit iffy about that, is the fact that we have, this past week, we've broken the daily trend line. And not only that, we have a 4 hour trend line to the upside. We do have a lot of supply to get through up here though. And technically this 4 hour trend line, it's technically a trend line, but this is so much sideways price action. It's definitely making me very nervous. We have a 4 hour supply zone above at 92.31. So we could be looking for longs on day trading timeframes to trade up to this 4 hour supply, where we can then get a quick short trade. And the reason I say quick, I'd be aggressive with trade management at that supply, because the better supply zone is over here above all of this liquidity at 94.764. That's where I think we could see the bigger move to the upside. To the downside off of that 4 hour supply. And if you are bullish on Bitcoin, again, day trading longs all the way, not really seeing any clean zones right now. But if we break these supply zones, any demand zones there, we could be looking for longs off of. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button to see what zones we get formed on Bitcoin. So for now, with the 4 hour trend line broken, created, and the daily downward trend line broken, in my opinion, it is longs all the way. We just got to be a little bit cautious due to the fact that we're sitting in the middle on the weekly chart. Really no clear direction. And then again, supply zones above for potential shorts. If you guys want access to my full-length forecast, join the Diamond membership where you will have access to that as well as my daily market forecast, the full course supply and demand PDF, and much, much more. Make sure you guys subscribe so you can catch next week's forecast as well. And I always appreciate a like. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.